The venerable monks have more traveling to do. We'd like to keep them here for quite a while, but they need to get back on their journey. My brothers and sisters and siblings from faith community around the Washington, D.C. area, and for all of the venerable monks, we share so much in common. Our loving kindness, peacefulness, compassion are essential values of all of our faiths, and we should never, ever forget that. And it is a great witness to have all of you here, and we need to stay connected to one another. So thank you. Thank you for being here. What we'll do first is we will invite the venerable monks to exit down the center aisle, and then we can all follow behind them if that suits. Thank you for coming and being here and giving of your time this day.
Okay, so Venerable Panya Kara has requested me to answer that question. And I think it's a very extremely important question because in my opinion, in the situation that we are facing in this country and around the world, inner peace is certainly an essential requirement, but we also need justice. Because what we see taking place in this country right now, I have to tell you, I'm 81 years old. I grew up during the period of the 1960s when we had the civil rights movement, 1964, 65, voting rights, civil rights. Wow, the country is opening up, losing its heritage of racism and discrimination. The anti-war movement against the war in Vietnam, we're coming to an era of peace. Then early 1970s, the feminist movement, women's rights are coming to the front of our social consciousness. And now what are we facing? I have to say, sadly, it's almost a reign of terror, where people are being terrified. School children afraid to go to school from fear that they're going to be grabbed off the streets and sent to a prison or detention camp. Workers afraid to go to work. Families being torn apart. So it seems that we have to balance this inner peace with what I call a strong commitment to conscientious compassion. That is compassion inspired by a sense of conscience, a responsibility for the welfare of all our fellow citizens, all the residents of this country, and indeed a universal compassion for all human beings around this world. And do we have aloka here?
Yes, we do.
All sentient beings around the world. Yeah, so we have to combine the quest for inner peace with this conscientious commitment out of compassion to ensure justice and promote really the well-being, safety, and security of people who are in trouble, endangered. But I'm just a stupid monk, so I don't really know very much.
Hello, on behalf of the United Tribes, we have a question. What is your message for our children and our next 7 generations?
Children, for me, in this world, not just the United States, but I think we lead our children to a different path already. It's because we live in this world dependent on technologies too much. Way too much. Look around us in our family. A child will have an iPad, iPhone, smart tab, things like that. The more they use it, the more they'll be sidetracked because a lot of distractions around on social media, on the internet and everything. And like us, I talked about earlier, the phone is always a problem because we depend on it too much. Imagine how many phone numbers we remember back there. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, how many phone numbers we be able to memorize? The whole phone book? Probably. How about now? How many phone numbers that we actually memorize by heart? probably 3, 4, 5 phone numbers. So what is the problem? I believe it's because we depend on technologies. Back then, you have to dial the number within our head. We have to use this head, say the number, and we dial it by hand. Now, tap, 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 Nikki, Ken, just put the letter N and K, it will show up everything, and then we just dial. We losing our memories each and every time. And that is how we train our children to go on the same path. And sadly, for me, my point of view and what I can see, our future generation will have a big problem. So in order for us to change our future generation, we have to start, become a role model for our kids from now. Stay away from the phone as much as possible. There's nothing wrong with it, don't get me wrong. It's just that we depend on it and we use it way too much. Versus before, we didn't even have one, we still survive. And now probably we could not survive if we don't have one. Imagine if there's internet outage and we're gonna call the internet company and complain all day long because of no internet. We could not survive. It's very difficult for us. So dependent on technologies is going to kill us. Our brain, our mind is shrinking every day. Back then, we can use our head to calculate a math. How about now? We have to use a calculator. We have to use a phone to calculate a very simple math. Just that alone, we are leading our children to a very, very wrong direction. So if we could, starting from here on, we need to train our children again, not to depend on technologies too much. Thank you.
My question is simple. How do we become more intentional about morality?
More morality. Well, for us as a Buddhist monk, we practice mindfulness every day. Like I mentioned about it, if we are mindful enough, we know what we should and what we shouldn't do. Without mindfulness, we could commit into a lot of things, right? So we always have to train ourselves to have mindfulness, to be aware of everything happening around us, what's popping up in our head. The more we stay focused and aware, the better we are. And mindfulness is the answer, the key that we need to practice. To be honest with all of us here, mindfulness is missing, and people been living without mindfulness. It's very tough for all of us. We missed out mindfulness. Because of unmindful, we have done a lot of things. All the things that happen around us is also because of unmindful. So we need to train ourselves to be mindful, to know what we should and what we shouldn't do. Thank you.
What is your response to Christian nationalism? And say a word to all religions at this time, particularly Christians in this country.
For me, after 17 years of ordained, I respect all religions. And I'm very grateful to take on this journey to walk that far from Fort Worth, Texas to here. And I'm very grateful that all churches open the door to host us, to give us food, to give us place to live, to stay overnight. And we are here in this beautiful church, in this very holy place. So for me, I have never talked about religions, regardless of what they talk about Buddhism. It doesn't matter to us it really doesn't matter to us what they say, what people say. But for us, when we practice, we respect all religions. Because to me, all religions teach people how to live, how to be a better person in this society, how to support society, and how to support this country, our country where we live in. And of course, earlier at the church, the pastors told me that there's over 100 kids studying every day, go to school there every day, and of course all churches, all places, all temple are also teaching our future generation to be a better person in this world. So for us to talk on behalf of all the religions, I don't have that knowledge. But I do have one thing that I share along the road. I said, we have different backgrounds, different beliefs, different religions we practice in every day. But after all that practicing, we go into the church, we go into the temple, all reverend, all pastor, all venerable monks, all gurus, all teachers are teaching people how to be good. But in common, after all that, we do have one religion in common, which is the religions of love and kindness, compassion, and peace that we are seeking for every single day. We worshiping every single day, and that temple, that church is within our mind. So that is the answer that I could answer. I respect all religions, and now that we are in this church and out there so much, and right here so much faith leaders joining us, this world should be like this for me. It should be like this. There's no need to be separate or any division at all whatsoever. Thank you.
Your walk of many thousands of miles is inspiring. The dedication that you've shown to the cause of peace is inspiring. And I just want to thank you. And you've got a little more ways to go. You're almost there. And so thanks. And I got a small presentation I can give you. So it's not a badge, but it's a coin. And on the front side is the pin that all members of Congress wear. 435 members of Congress each have a pin that has that. On the back, it's the Capitol. And you're marching through the 7th Congressional District. You have been for quite some time, south of Fredericksburg, and basically all the way up through Prince William County. So on behalf of the community, thank you. Thank you. I welcome you.
And next, we have our Deputy Chief of Police, this is Kim Missouri, and then also Board of County Supervisor Andrea Bailey, who also has something she'd like to say and present.
Honorable Venerable, we are so blessed to have you here in our presence and to exhort peace in our land. And on behalf of the Potomac District that you are standing in, on behalf of Prince William County, a county that serves its people, on behalf of your service, I'd like to present to you a commendation. And it says, to extend my deepest respect and sincere commendation to the monks for their enduring peace walk and for your graciousness, your gracious journey in Prince William County, blessing the Potomac District, allowing our community to honor and witness your message of peace firsthand. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, the Honorable Andrea Bailey, Supervisor of this district, do hereby recognize and commend the Monks' Peace Walk in its presence, its teaching, and unwavering commitment to the path of peace for our nation. And I'd also like to present you these flowers to adorn your walk as you spread peace among the land.
Okay, and that's all the presentation we have for today, but I want to say thank you very much for being here.
Question?
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask a question that probably everybody's wondering. What kind of footwear do you recommend for a journey like this?
Well, I've been walking barefoot. So just these days when it snows and ice and I got sick. And so it's recommended I have to put on my sandal. And that is, it wasn't mine either. So somebody collected somewhere in the RV and then I just put it on. So I didn't even know who it belonged to. So I really don't know what type of footwear that is suitable for. Well, sometimes I wear socks. So, and we have plenty of socks. A lot of you offer a lot of socks. So
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, how are you today? First of all, on behalf of our venerable monks, we appreciate your presence here today, and with the warm welcoming to our venerable monks, and we appreciate it so much, and we're very grateful for it. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much, Supervisor, and thank you everyone here for coming out in this cold. And we still have a lot more people outside in the cold. So let me try to wrap this up. So the people outside, they can go home. I don't know if they want to go home. It's still waiting out there. This is 105 days, right? After how many of us here that already listened to my talk? A lot. How many of us here that actually take that into action? By practicing mindfulness? Who practiced mindfulness already? Who wrote that down? Today is going to be my peaceful day. Who write that down every day? Okay, well, that's a big commitment right there. Then how was it? I'm sorry? Great. Peace? Peaceful? Happy? Did anyone bump into you? Did anyone bother you? Okay, you have to think and then say no. Okay. Well, how about our family members? Yes? Not the people out there, but the people inside. Is that right? Everybody's shaking their heads, okay? Shy to respond. So that is always where the problem comes from. And of course, we always try to seek for peace out there, which we can never find it. It's always started within our family. Sufferings started from there. Peace also started from there. Okay? That I always talk about our inner world. Each one of us have our own world. And in that world have all kind of animals, wild animals, all kind of problems, either good and bad. It has everything. And of course, when we live in this world, we tend to lean towards the bad more than the good.
Imagine for a moment the sheer physical reality of walking across a continent. Picture the soles of your feet touching the asphalt of Texas, the red clay of the South, and the frozen winter ground of Virginia. Imagine doing this not for exercise, not for a record, but as a living, breathing prayer for peace. This is the journey undertaken by the Venerable Bhikkhu Panikkara and his fellow monks, a pilgrimage of over 100 days, spanning thousands of miles from Fort Worth to Washington, D.C. When we hear of such a feat, it is easy to view it as something superhuman, a task reserved for the holy or the incredibly disciplined. Yet, if we listen closely to the wisdom emerged from this walk for peace, we realize that the true journey is not measured in miles, but in moments. The road they traveled is the same road we all walk, whether we are navigating a busy city street, a chaotic office, or the quiet hallways of our own homes. The lesson is simple but profound. Peace is not a destination we arrive at. It is a manner of traveling. At the heart of this journey lies a radical kind of openness that challenges the boundaries we so often draw around ourselves. As the monks moved through the American landscape, they did not stay in Buddhist temples alone. They were welcomed into the sanctuaries of Christian churches, fed by communities of different faiths, and sheltered by people who, on paper, might subscribe to entirely different dogmas. In a world that often feels fractured by religious and political division, this pilgrimage revealed a beautiful, underlying truth about the human spirit. When the venerable monk speaks of his gratitude for these churches, he is not just being polite. He is pointing to a spiritual reality that transcends labels. He reminds us that after all the rituals are performed, after all the scriptures are read, and after all the sermons are preached, every great tradition is ultimately teaching us the same thing: how to be a better person, how to support our society, and how to live with integrity. There is a universal religion that exists beyond the walls of any specific building. As the Venerable eloquently puts it, we all belong to the religion of loving kindness, compassion, and peace. This is the temple we carry within our own minds. It is a striking image, the idea that every time we choose patience over anger, or generosity over greed, we are worshiping at this universal altar. The monk's experience serves as a mirror for us. If they can find sanctuary in a faith tradition different from their own, surely we can find common ground with the neighbor who votes differently than we do, or the colleague whose background is unlike ours. The walls we build are made of fear, but the bridges are built of this shared, fundamental desire for goodness. We are asked to look at our own communities not as a collection of warring tribes, but as a diverse congregation of the human heart, all seeking the same safety, security, and happiness. However, this pursuit of peace is not a passive withdrawal from the world. It is not about closing our eyes to suffering or pretending that everything is fine when it is not. The wisdom shared during the pilgrimage touches on a tension that many of us feel deeply: the balance between inner serenity and the need for justice. We live in a time that can feel overwhelmingly heavy, a time where, as was noted during the gathering, many feel a sense of terror, whether it is children afraid to go to school or families torn apart by policy and prejudice. There is a call here for conscientious compassion. This is a powerful phrase. It suggests that our compassion must be awake. It must be informed by a conscience that recognizes the suffering of others and feels a responsibility to alleviate it. Inner peace, then, is not an escape hatch. It is the fuel for our engagement with the world. We cannot pour from an empty cup, and we cannot bring peace to a chaotic world if we are internally at war. But conversely, our inner peace is hollow if it does not move us to care for the welfare of our fellow citizens and all sentient beings. The walk itself is a form of nonviolent protest, a physical manifestation of the refusal to accept hatred as the norm. It challenges us to ask, how does my inner practice show up in my outer life? Am I using my calm to ignore the world, or am I using it to remain steady while I help heal the world? The monk's journey reminds us that true spirituality embraces the whole of the human experience, the silence of meditation and the noise of the struggle for justice. They are two wings of the same bird. Without either, we cannot fly. Yet, as we navigate this responsibility to the world, we face a modern obstacle that the monks identify with piercing clarity: our addiction to technology. It is a paradox of our age that while we are more connected than ever before, we are increasingly disconnected from the present moment and our own mental faculties. The Venerable offers a stark warning about the path we are leading our children down. We are living in a world dependent on screens, where a child is handed a tablet before they can even speak, and where we, as adults, panic if we are separated from our phones for even an hour. This dependency is not just a habit, it is a kind of atrophy. Consider the simple act of remembering a phone number. 20 years ago, we carried the constellations of our loved ones' contact information in our heads. We dialed them by heart. Today, we tap a name and the machine does the work. As the monk observes, we are losing our memories each and every time. This is not just about nostalgia. It is about the outsourcing of our consciousness. When we rely entirely on technology to think, calculate, and remember for us, our own minds shrink. We become sidetracked, constantly pulled away from the richness of the here and now by the digital noise of the there and then. The message here is one of urgent stewardship for the next 7 generations. If we want our children to be present, wise, and capable, we must be the role models. We have to be the ones to put the phone down. We have to be the ones to show that it is possible to survive and thrive without constant digital stimulation. This is a mindfulness practice in itself, to reclaim our attention from the algorithm and give it back to the people right in front of us. It is a call to return to a more analog way of being, where we use our heads to calculate, our hearts to connect, and our eyes to look at the world rather than a screen. This brings us to the central key of the entire journey, the practice of mindfulness. But what does mindfulness actually mean in this context? It is often marketed as a stress reduction technique, a way to relax. But the monks define it with far more rigor and utility. Mindfulness is the tool that allows us to know what we should and what we shouldn't do. It is the mental clarity that prevents regret. When we are unmindful, we operate on autopilot, reacting to stimuli based on old habits and conditioning. We say things we wish we hadn't said. We do things we wish we hadn't done. The Venerable points out that unmindfulness is the root of so much suffering. It is because we are not paying attention that we hurt others and ourselves. Therefore, mindfulness is a training, a rigorous, daily discipline of staying focused and aware of what is popping up in our heads. It is like a gatekeeper standing at the door of the mind, inspecting every thought and impulse before allowing it to become an action. This is the secret to the monk's endurance. How do you walk thousands of miles without giving up? You do it by being mindful of this step, then this step. You don't worry about the mile that is 10 days away. You inhabit the moment you are in. If we can apply this to our daily lives, we find a tremendous source of power. We stop being victims of our own distracted minds and start becoming the architects of our own behavior. We cultivate a peaceful day, not by accident, but by intention. However, the road of mindfulness leads us inevitably to the most difficult terrain of all, our own homes. In a moment of candid humor and deep insight, the Venerable asks the gathering if anyone bothered them during their walk. The answer is generally no. Strangers are often kind, or at least indifferent. But then he asks, "How about your family?" The recognition in the room is immediate. It is easy to be a saint when you are walking past strangers. It is incredibly hard to be a saint when you are dealing with your spouse, your parents, or your children. The inner world is where the real work happens. The monk describes our internal landscape as a place filled with all kinds of wild animals. We have anger, jealousy, impatience, and fear living inside us, prowling around. When we interact with our families, the people who know how to push our buttons, the people we take for granted, these wild animals tend to come out. We seek peace out there, in the world, in politics, in vacations, but we can never truly find it if we cannot tame the zoo within our own minds. Peace starts at the breakfast table. It starts with the tone of voice we use when we are tired. It starts with the patience we show when things go wrong at home. If we want to heal the world, we must first learn to be gentle with the people closest to us, recognizing that they, too, are struggling with their own inner menageries. So, how do we keep going? How do we maintain this commitment to peace when the road is long, the weather is cold, and our feet are tired? We look to the physical resilience of the monks for inspiration. They walked barefoot for much of the journey, connecting directly with the earth, feeling every texture of the ground. When illness or snow made that impossible, they accepted the help of sandals and socks offered by strangers. There is a lesson in adaptability here. We hold our principles firmly, but we must also be wise enough to accept help and adjust to the conditions of the moment. We don't have to be perfect ascetics to be on the path of peace. We just have to keep moving forward. The monk asks a question that echoes long after the talk is over. Who wrote that down? Today is going to be my peaceful day. This is the practice. It is not a theory. It is a vow we make to ourselves every morning. It is the decision to wake up and set an intention that, no matter what the world throws at us, no matter the headlines, the traffic, or the family drama, we will return to our center. We will choose the religion of loving kindness. We will put down the phone. We will watch our minds. We will tame our inner wild animals. As we conclude this reflection, we realize that the walk for peace was never just about the monks. They walked for us, to show us what is possible. But now, the baton is passed to us. The pilgrimage continues in our living rooms, our offices, and our communities. We are all walking through the cold, uncertain terrain of modern life. But we are not alone. We have the sanctuary of our own mindful awareness, and we have the capacity for a compassion that can dissolve barriers. Let us cherish every step, for in the end, the path of peace is not something we find. It is something we create, one mindful moment at a time. The walk begins anew today. Are you ready to take the next step?